Brad, welcome to a VideoCast. Woohoo! Here we are again.
Why, how exciting.
It is exciting because you're going to tell us how to improve productivity and get better results.
I am? I thought I already did. I write that stuff. I don't speak it.
Well, I didn't actually read the article.
You're an idiot.
Just kidding. I read the article. I did. Honestly, I did. And while I like Malcolm Gladwell and I've read a couple of his books, I don't know that his book is actually going to tell us how to improve the productivity and get better results. But I do agree with your hypothesis that putting the more powerful part of the mind into a position of control is the right way to do it. But how to?
Well, and the only reason I used Malcolm Gladwell is I was asking for a, what's the word, a powerful resource, something I could point to. The guy's got a PhD after his name, and he's pretty famous author, wrote a couple of bestseller books, plus best-selling books. Plus, what blew me away about it was how I got the book, number one. Do I tell that in the article, how I got it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't need
to You tell it exactly how that book almost practically jumped off the shelf and opened to the page that gave you the exact proof that you were looking for from a guy with a PhD.
Which is the point of getting out of depending on your part of your mind that strategizes, the conscious mind, that we make plans with it. Excuse me, sorry. That we think that we know so much. Our arrogance comes from, our ego apparently comes from. And it's not the brain, but wherever the mind is, that and he has so much data that he has gotten from the same stuff I love, which is neurobiological science. It's just fascinating to find that book that confirms stuff that I believe I've really taken hold for the last 3 years. I mean, that's what led to writing the book, The Integration of the Mind. And, a lot of people made kind of funny remarks about it because, to me, they miss the point. And what is the point? The point is putting your other than conscious parts of the mind in control, where the other than conscious parts of the mind are so much better equipped to do things than is the conscious part.
Well, we live in a society.
Go ahead.
We live in a society that intellect and critical thinking and the ability to use your brain, IQ, everybody has to know what their IQ is. I mean, we've elevated that in our society and our culture to a point where we almost disregard all the things that are the rest of our mind, as you call the unconscious part of our mind, is performing for us automatically and doing it way better than if we try to think our way through it. I think one of the, I don't know if this is in that book or not, but they had, maybe you mentioned it in another article, they had people perform a task in their imagination, one group, and then another group perform the task, actually practice it. And the people who performed the task in their imagination first did a better job than the people who actually practiced using their conscious mind.
That was in Malcolm's book.
Hello?
Yeah, hello, wake up, America.
Yeah. We've been far too long. We've elevated the brain as the source of power and control and authority, and we've admired smart people, but forgotten to elevate intuitive people.
Oh, I won't go too long on this story, but there was a young man. Okay, I've got his name in my head now, but anyway, he was a teenager. Same time I was a teenager, and he was thought of as, what do you call him, retarded.
Handicapped, we call him today.
Yeah, well, and mentally challenged. And I met him, I was in my late 20s for the first time since high school, and he couldn't go to high school because it was meaningless. Anyway, I met him, and in front of my parents' home, I was visiting in California. He happened to be walking by, still living with his mother up the street. And anyway, we chatted. And he said some of the most profound things. And I said, Leslie, where did that come from? And I said, man, that was just beautiful. And I said, do you realize how sometimes you really, in our conversation, it's just way over what people think you're capable of doing. And he says to me, well, you mean because I'm kind of off? And I said, I should be off like you. It was marvelous what he came up with. It was spiritual. And it was just, I don't even know what we were talking about at the time, but it was just, he was just off looking out here somewhere, and he was coming right off the top. And obviously he had found the source to allow that to happen and allow things to be able to articulate them.
Sure. He didn't block it with his conscious mind. So we have pop culture that says that our subconscious gets us into trouble. We have a pop culture that says we need higher IQ, we need to have higher education, and yet none of the higher education teaches people how to use their intuitive part of who they are, their imagination. And that's the school that we're promoting. We're promoting the school of imagination, intuition, quiet yourself, listen, connect to the source. It's a different school. We're upside down, buddy. I think we're upside down.
Yeah. Shall I stand on my head?
yeah. Maybe I'll figure out how to flip this camera view around or something like that. So
that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
I just want to make one correction, and I see you have the brain on a pedestal, and that's something that he said, and I point out, I know I pointed it out in this article, that I don't use the word brain anymore, because neurobiologists, by and large, say that the brain is more like a switching station, or in one little research I did, they point out that computers are really based on the same model as the brain, and that is that it just processes information. And all of our senses, like I read an article just the other day, the heart actually has higher electrical output, measured output, than does the brain.
Sure.
Plus, the heart does its own thinking.
Yeah.
That's something I never heard before. You've heard that before.
Yeah. It's promoted in, what do you call it? New Age circles and stuff like that. The heart, the chakra, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go into it because it suggests religious connotations, and I'd suggest that most of your article is based, or the substance of your article is supported by scientific fact or accepted scientific theory. And the reason why I keyed on the brain is because Gladwell, in your quoting him here, how do our brains really work? Right? Well, here he is asking the question, and he's asking other questions like, why are some people brilliant? Why do some people follow their instincts and win? Why this? Why that? Well, if you're asking why, you're admitting you don't have those things and you want those things. What you have is that brain that functions very well, but prevents you from getting anything done. It just blocks your subconscious mind. The one thing that overrides that, though, which is coming up in the near future, and I'm going to do this because I know you usually do it, is you talk about how passion overrides that conscious mind from doing its job. So let's hold here and let's move on to the next article real soon, where you talk about passion and using the power of passion to break through to being truly unlimited. How do you feel about that? Done?
Let's do it, man. Say goodbye, Ryan.
Goodbye, Ryan.